Well, I have many inspirations for being a musician. It started early in life. Music was always playing in the household. I particularly remember hearing Bill Withers, I know, 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 jazz, things of that nature. I was a person who attended church from an early point in life. So those hymns of faith, those songs from the African American tradition, I was singing those very, very early age. And so all of those things played together that I knew music would be something that I'd always do in my life. I didn't have an idea that it would be a vocation until I got to college. But even in high school, I knew I wanted to have music to be something that would sustain me and that would keep me going. And that's part of the reason why I like to mentor others. Because again, my parents and the teachers and music directors that I work with in churches and in schools, they invested in me and gave me lots of opportunities to sing and to play piano and other instruments. And so I like to give that same thing back and pay it forward to others. So I have a varied education, the usual things coming through a school program, elementary school, middle school, high school, public school person, Columbus, Georgia, Muskogee County School District, proud graduate of Shaw High School, class of 1994. From there, I went to the University of Georgia because I was able to pursue a double major. So I have a liberal arts degree with a concentration in economics and politics, and then also a music performance degree and a high concentration with education courses and certification there for a bachelor's. Then for my master's degree, went to Georgia State University and studied conducting and vocal performance. And now here I've come to the University of Minnesota, where I completed all the coursework and projects towards my doctoral musical arts degree, which will be completely conferred soon here as I defend my final thesis project. In addition to that, I've done a lot of coursework around how the mind works and how the voice works through the Voice Care Network based out of St. John's University. I'm a board member there and a faculty member there also. And other courses related to conducting and working with young people. So my role here at Vocalessence has varied. I was hired as the associate conductor and then moved directly, pretty quickly actually, into an additional role as the director of learning and engagement. As the associate conductor, it's a lot of things that you would think. I'm primarily responsible for working with our ensembles, of which we have 3 now. In our regular roster, we have our ensemble singers, 32 voice professional ensemble. For that group, I serve as a vocal coach, as the one who prepares them, leads vocalises, and offers lots of critical feedback about their vocalism and their musicality as related to vocal production. With our volunteer chorus, a 125 voice group of adults who give their time freely on a weekly basis to sing with us. I'm their primary artistic leader, and I prepare them in rehearsals, select repertoire for some of their projects, and then co-conduct them with my mentor and our founder, Phillip here. In addition, we found in the last 2 years, at my vision and my insistence here at the organization, that we reach out into Minneapolis and St. Paul in particular to create a youth choir, high school age choir that reflects our community. So I lead that program. I've kind of guided it, nurtured it from inception, visioning to actual reality now, concluding our 2nd year. And that program is called Vocalessence Singers of This Age. Approximately 50 9th through 12th graders from 17 different schools here in the Twin Cities area. The learning and engagement role, like I said, is varied. I manage and oversee from an artistic and logistical perspective a number of programs. The Witness program is one that's been around for 30 years that celebrates the contributions of African Americans to our shared cultural heritage. The Cantaré program has been around for 11 years, and that celebrates Mexican culture and brings this connection between Mexico and Minnesota classrooms. We put a Mexican composer into classrooms. They work with the teachers and students to create original choral compositions, and then the students learn that music and sing it in concert at the Ordway Concert Hall. We have the Lullaby Project, where I've worked with Carnegie Hall. We're one of their national partners, and receive instruction and training to create our own version of that here in the Minneapolis greater St. Paul area. And we currently work with Longfellow High School with the teen mothers there. And we work with their babies, we sing lullabies with them, we sing stories with them, give the parents, the mothers in particular, guidance on how to use this musical endeavor as a way of working and bonding with their children. And then we also help them to create original lullabies as well. And we are working on doing the same project with Hennepin County Medical Center as well, also there. In addition, we have the Vintage Voices program where my colleague is the conductor and I give him assistance and work with him on that project. That is an amazing project where we work with seniors, either in a senior center or from a community who come to a centralized area to create a choir in 10 to 12 week increments. They rehearse weekly, get music that fits them, and then they put on a concert in front of their peers or their families. They take a break and then we do it again. One of our favorite projects here. And then there's a number of other smaller projects related to composer initiatives where we encourage young composers, pairing them with mentor composers, creating composition contests where we provide opportunities for composers to write music that we sing on various concerts throughout the season. And then in addition, we really take pride in putting organizations together or bringing people together from around the community. And so we've created the Together We Sing Festival, which happens each January on MLK weekend. And we bring in a diverse group of artists and we encourage the whole community to come together to experience singing in different styles and doing a service project for a local organization. So as I said, every day is a little different. Here at Vocalessence, for me, I'm working with different projects, getting things in order, working with a great team here on staff and a group of volunteers. And then it also allows me the opportunity to go out and do my own clinic work. And so some of that is connected to Vocalessence, creating a partnership with Classical Minnesota Public Radio is one of those where under the auspices of both organizations, I go into Minnesota schools and work with their choirs and give them feedback and advice and mentor the teachers and encourage them and take pictures and post social media to let people know the good things that's happening in choral music in Minnesota. So that's fun. In addition to that, on my own, I'm often called upon to guest conduct throughout the state, throughout the country. Just came back from Ontario up in Canada recently and have several gigs lined up here in the upcoming year. And that's an enjoyable part of my work, to go in, to collaborate with my peers from across the country, to see the good work that they're doing, to offer a little feedback, encourage them, reinforce what they're already doing in their situations, and then giving them new ideas to help them to continue to grow. You know, I often do believe that things happen for a reason in life. And Minnesota has been a very important part of my development. From in college, I was a counselor for America Fest. And that was held at St. John's University. Did that 3 or 4 summers. Then I found the Voice Care Network. Voice Care has been tremendously beneficial for me. It helped to reinforce my philosophy of music as a way to bring people together, conductors as more of nurturers and guiders and facilitators rather than dictators who impose their will on the musicians they work with. Instead, Voice Care has helped me to, from a scientific perspective, from a psychological perspective, to look at the ways that we learn as human beings, the ways that we operate best as human beings, the ways that we are best motivated as human beings. And it's helped me to create a pedagogical approach that really nurtures the body, mind, the voice, and the soul, and creates community within the ensemble so that each person feels empowered to give their best gift, knowing that that gift is equally important to the person sitting on either side of them. And so Voice Care, again, a way to give back is I've been tapped to kind of help lead the next generation along with a few of my peers. And so teaching occasionally, serving on the board of directors now with that great group of folks. Voice Care is also where I met my wife. Had no idea that we would get married, but now we're 10 years in, and that happened because we were at Voice Care together. So I can't say enough good things about that, and encourage folks who are interested in learning more about how the voice works and how to create a pedagogical approach that's authentic to you, that helps people to learn how to use their instruments in the most natural and authentic ways, to consider joining us one summer at St. John's University. We usually hold our Body, Mind, and Voice course in July, and then we have additional courses as well. But you can find them on the Voice Care Network website. So I'm a passionate believer in giving singers the opportunity to sing in a variety of styles. I think it's important for us as human beings to learn more about those who are different from us, or those from other cultures with whom we might not normally engage. Frankly, as the world is becoming more connected through social media and the internet and other means, we are increasingly becoming closer to each other. So I think it only makes sense that we sing and perform a wide body of music that spans eras and genres, and spans cultures, and spans faith perspectives, and other societal perspectives as well. So the key for me, we hear a lot about this term appropriation these days, and I think I'm glad to have an opportunity just to speak about it without anybody asking me questions. But appropriation to me often gets a bad rap. You hear the word and you think negative connotation. And so one of the things that I'd like to share is perhaps we should rethink that term a bit. Yes, people can use the culture of others without permission, with a misinformed sense of approach to it, and even a sense of looking at it to gain profit and prestige. And that's the negative side of appropriation, and that's what we should stay away from. But when good-minded people do their homework, when they consult with experts, when they read, when they collaborate with those who are very knowledgeable in an area, then this sense of appropriation is not a bad thing. In a sense, it's a good thing, because it's helping us to learn about our brothers, our sisters, our human creature friends from a wide variety of backgrounds, and it helps us to find that there's a lot of sameness between us. I live my life believing that there's more that connects us together. There's more similarities between us as people than there are differences. And we do want to know the differences. We want to learn the differences. We want to talk about the differences. But I believe we do need to spend more time thinking about the sameness, the things that make us human beings. And so learning music from a wide range of cultures with the best intent of doing our homework regarding performance practice, the style of production. Vocal production is a very important thing to me. We can't sing Mozart and then a song from the Torres Strait Islands off of the coast of Australia with the same vocalism. We have to teach our singers how to sing both of those in a way that's natural and authentic. We have to create a set of experiences that guides them on the journey of how they can evaluate the way they are using their bodies, the way they're using their breath, the way they're using their voices. And that's the thing that sometimes we fall into a trap. We have limited time. We have X number of rehearsals. We have a concert on Y date, and we can look at it on the calendar, and we just get in get it done mode. And I'm the same way. I'm equally as guilty. But I think it's important for us to take a step back and to think about, why do we do this thing that we do? Why are we choral conductors? Why are we music leaders in front of people? What do we want them to gain and to experience? And when you can clarify that answer for yourself, for me, it's to give them an opportunity to tap into all of the expressive capabilities within their body and their mind and their voice's potential, to tap into all of that and to explore all of that. For me, that means I need to provide enough space and enough time for them to truly be able to explore and to experiment and to give themselves feedback in addition to the feedback that I give them, so that something can get, as we say, get into their DNA and they can live with it. And then I can have high school singers on the same concert sing Gastoldi and Mozart and Abby Bettinas, but then also turn around and sing with the Mila Vocal Ensemble songs from Eastern Europe, or sing with the Cameroon Choir songs from Western Africa, or to sing with the hip hop artist, local artists like Niles, to sing his latest rap single, and to sing with them and then sing all of those things in an appropriate style, and also to have taken the time to understand a little bit about the context of the piece of music and the way the people engage with music. The more I do this, the more fascinated I become with the reasons people write songs and the reasons people sing songs. Because for many of our peers across the world, the songs that they sing, the songs of their culture, are related to specific events in their life, specific occasions, or even specific places. And when we do that homework and we have that context, it helps our singers to have a more rich and varied experience. The thing about community choirs that I find valuable is it helps us to provide a place for everyone to sing. And for me, that's important because I passionately believe that every person should sing, and every person should have a place where they can sing and sing with others. Because there's something about singing together that we are finding through our research. And it's increasingly being proven that singing together with others does a lot to boost the positive endorphins, the positive mood makers in our bodies. So we begin to feel better. We begin to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of place, a sense of value and worth when we sing with others. So community choirs provide that venue for each and every human to be able to tap in and to have that community where they find value, where they find belonging, where they can share their gifts. I personally believe there can never be enough choirs. Competition is something that sometimes gets in the way and people are territorial. I really firmly believe, especially here in Minnesota, but I think it's true across the country and across the world, that there are enough opportunities for people to sing, different styles of music, different levels of commitment as far as the rehearsal schedule, the performance schedule, the difficulty of the music, the variety of the music, that each person will find a place that they can plug in and feel comfortable and feel at home. And there's nothing bad about that. Again, as conductors, we all want the quote unquote best singers in our choir. We all want the quote unquote best sound and the most prestige, and all that stuff's wonderful and good, and it's part of being a human and human nature. But at its core, if we boil it down, we're all doing this because we want people to express themselves and to find that sense of worth that music can bring to us, that singing can share and express things that mere words cannot express. And that's why we do this. So I applaud all of my peers who are directing barbershop groups and Sweet Adeline groups and church choirs. I have a church choir myself. Love that work, love those people, those who are doing professional choirs, school choirs that have the curricular, but then also that have the extracurricular choirs. I applaud those who create space for what we would consider to be non-traditional singers to sing. Those who really practice inclusion and find a place in their program, in their choirs, for singers who might not normally be able to sing to feel comfortable and to find worth and value. What do I mean by that? Those who can't see, those who may be blind, that you make a space for them to be in the choir. Those who may be on some type of autistic spectrum or have another disability that they're living with that would preclude them from the traditional choirs, that we instead find ways to adapt and expand what we're doing to include them in our sphere somewhere. Not every choir is for every person, but if we all commit to finding that space within our own programs and in our own communities for a place for everyone to sing, then everyone will have that experience of singing together. And you know what, Philip Burnell and I say this all the time, if the folks in Congress would sing together before every session, I think those meetings would go better. You know, if kids in school would get together and sing anything every morning and then run a few laps and eat a snack, I think they would do better. There's something about the humanness, and I turn my eyes from the camera for a second because it gets real personal. There's something really personal and vulnerable about singing. And when we all do it together, I think it opens us up to be more receptive to each other and those differences that I spoke of earlier, that we begin to overlook those differences and instead look towards the things that make us human beings and that draw us together. So community choirs, I cut my teeth in them. I started singing in a boy choir in elementary school. I sang in extracurricular choirs throughout high school, church choirs from multiple churches. In college, I joined a cappella groups that didn't get credit for that. And then my first real gig out of college was working with the Monroe Choral Society down in Georgia. And then the next gig was working with the Gwinnett Choral Guild, a group that I worked with for 13 years. And they taught me a lot about working with people. Most of them were older than me, but they accepted me, and we created this beautiful community. And since then, I've always been involved in some type of community-based choir where those who come to sing, let me say it this way, there's nothing better as a conductor than being able to stand in front of a group of people who come to that rehearsal because they want to be there. There's no grade attached to it. There's no monetary compensation. They choose to be there week in and week out because they find value in it and they want to be there. And that's the best feeling in the world. Those are the most fun groups for me to conduct because we're all there seeking to receive the same thing. And we're assigning the same value to our time together. So go forth from this interview and start your own community choir. If there's not one in your area, or go join one. And if you got something going on, take a look at it and see if there's enough space for singers of a variety of styles and variety of backgrounds to participate in it. So when it comes to advice for those who are considering a career in music, whether it be choral music education or arts administration or performing in music, what I would say to you is, first of all, really write down your pros and cons. There's a difference to me between wanting to be involved in music for your whole life and wanting to be a musician who derives primary source of income from musical endeavors. And once you've taken the time to look at those pros and cons to sort that out, if it does come out that you want music to be your vocation, your vocational sense of calling, because I do believe there is a call to being a music educator, to teach in a school. I do believe there's a sense of call to be a professional performer. I do believe there's a call to be an arts administrator. Once you've sorted that out and you believe that music is your calling, then I say go forth knowing that your most important skill is flexibility, and your second most important skill is determination and grit. You have to have this relentless sense of drive and this sense of confidence in yourself that you can achieve. You have to have the courage to ask questions that people might say no to. One of the things that I value working with Philip Brunel is he has a mantra of, if I ask a question, there's a 50% chance they're going to say yes. If they say no, then I'll deal with that 50% chance later. But I'm going to focus on the 50% chance they say yes. And that's what it takes in this field, because everyone else is wanting the same things that you're wanting. So no one's going to come and seek you out. If you want to be mentored by someone, go ask the question, can I sit on your rehearsals? Can I watch? Can I talk to you on the phone? Can I email you back and forth? Asking questions is a primary part of being a professional musician or working in a professional music job. Never be afraid to ask about what you don't know or what you're curious about. The second thing is to be able to work with your time management, knowing that there's never a sense of being complete. Being a musician of any sort, whether it's an educator, performer, or an arts administrator, it's not a 9-to-5 endeavor. Those hours may be on your chart. You may have a certain number of contract days as a teacher in a school, but your job is never done. Your learning is never done. And so unless you have that insatiable desire to continue to learn, to continue to create and expand opportunities beyond what you currently think is possible, you won't find yourself fulfilled in this art form, in this career path. However, if you are that type that just wants to keep learning and growing and digging deeper and asking questions and expanding possibilities beyond what we can currently see, then this is such an invigorating space in which to work. Because on a daily basis, I do different things. And that's what you'll find as a musician. You have to be versatile. You need to hone your craft as a performer. If you're an educator, you still need to hone your craft as a performer. I encourage you to have multiple instruments that you have some sense of proficiency with. I play the piano well enough for personal enjoyment. I can get through rehearsals. I can play moderate accompaniments in public. I play often at church, particularly by oral tradition, just making things up and improvising. But that's a skill I keep developing, trying to get better and better. I also have picked up a love of playing hand percussion. And so that's something that served me well because I never know when I need to add that to a piece of music. And so I can now explain to others what I want done. I can train a high school student to play a percussion part on a piece or an adult in my church choir to do the same. And then there are other ways, the methods with the string instruments and brass instruments, because when you're standing in front of people as a conductor, you need to have some sense of understanding of how their instrument works, how their bodies work, how the breath works, so that you can communicate the sound that you want. The big thing sometimes we fall into as conductors is we want to know it all. And this sense of insatiable desire of learning is that sense of understanding that I don't know it all, and never being afraid of sharing that with your choir of, I'm on this journey, I'm consulting an expert, I'm going to bring someone in to coach you on the diction, I'm going to talk with this instrumentalist about how they approach it because I want you to sing it the same way. That's the kind of the way you're going to get in this music business. That's what you're going to experience. And so I encourage you to kind of buckle up and prepare for that sense of versatility and volatility sometimes. Another thing that you need to prepare for is save. Save money, save vacation time, save yourself, find time to save yourself so that you can restore. Because as musicians, as performers, as arts administrators, we are constantly giving of ourselves to others. And it's great to give, but if you don't have regular time for restoration and for recreation, you will find yourself drained and tired, and emotionally you won't be able to function personally, but you also won't be able to help those that you're working with. So you want to find time to get exercise in, some type of physical activity. You're going to need it. Think about your diet. You're going to need to be nurtured and nourished. As far as money, we don't make the six-figure salaries or the seven-figure salaries, but there is a way to make enough to live comfortably, completely with musical endeavors. And so it's just a matter of thinking very carefully about how you use your money. The younger you are now, begin to save now and invest now, because that is going to multiply over time, and that's going to help you later on in life. If you're like me and you're already in your 40s now, and if you haven't started saving, you still can, and there's still time to help you. If you're in your 60s and you haven't started saving, it's never too late, but you really do want to think about how you're using your resources, because I firmly believe if you think strategically, there is enough to live on. We think with scarcity, and we always lament, we don't make enough as musicians. But there's one thing that we get that other jobs don't get. In addition to that paycheck, we get this immense sense of satisfaction and this knowledge knowing that we are making the world a better place, one inhalation and one phrase of song at a time. And that can propel us and sustain us to go out and find other ways to creatively pay our bills as well. So to just recap, the advice, first of all, determine, is it really vocational calling? And if that's yes, prepare to ask lots of questions, find mentors. Don't be afraid to ask questions of mentors. Prepare to save money. Prepare to save yourself and find time for restoration and recreation and relaxation. And also prepare for a life of insatiable learning, because that's what's going to keep you viable and keep you happy and keep you effective in this musical game. So my family is a musical family. As I mentioned earlier in the interview, my mom and dad are all music lovers. Neither one did it for a profession, sang at church, singing church choirs, things like that. My brother sang throughout high school and then joined or created his own rock band. I think he learned it by playing video game guitar and bass, and he's got his own rock band. My sister played violin, and she's a dancer and drama teacher now, in addition to other things. My family here in Minnesota, my wife, Michelle, is an elementary music teacher by training and a piano teacher. So she's taken a little hiatus raising our kids and staying at home with them, but she teaches piano on a regular basis and is the director of our church choirs out at Good Samaritan Methodist Church. My 5-year-old son, Malachi, loves to sing. He's shy in front of people, but at home, he sings things in the correct key, which is kind of scary, unprompted, and he knows words very quickly, so it's a lot of fun to watch him develop. And our 1-year-old, Lydia Grace, every time music comes on, she dances, like really dances, and starts kind of putting her own sounds to it as well. So I have a feeling in the next 15 to 20 years, there'll be a lot of music in the Shoultz household. So the question about pugilistic arts, meant to be a funny one here, there, probably referring to my bio, talking about being someone who enjoys boxing and things of that stature since, fighting with the fist. It's really funny. I do enjoy sports in particular, and boxing has become my latest endeavor the last 3 years. I do a class almost daily in the mornings, and I have connected it actually to my music making, because there's a way that when you're doing those different punches, you can put an exhalation with them. So I brought them into the classroom and the kids love it. But for me, it really is this sense of when you're physically active, your whole body works better. And as a conductor, our body has to be in good shape. As a singer, our body has to be in good shape to work well. And so I employ a lot of those different strategies when I'm working with singers, having them to think of, playing a sport, using their body in a certain way. Because often if we can get outside of the intellectual, sing with this, it's like, just hit a tennis ball, just shoot a basketball, just punch this way, do an uppercut. They get that physical engagement that you want, and then the sound's there. And then later on, you can go back and teach them about the actual scientific approach to what you were doing. But I think Fraka Hausman was the first one that we credit when she was at Westminster Choir College for using the ordinary things in life, ordinary tasks, and connecting it to vocal pedagogy. And it kind of revolutionized work with singers. And I'm a big believer in that. When it comes to saying thank you, there's so many people that are responsible for me being in the position that I'm in, that I want to take the safe approach first by casting a wide net. If ever I've conducted you in an honor choir or an all-state or a summer camp experience, or have come to your church or your school and have been a clinician, or have sat beside you in a classroom as a student, or at a workshop as a conducting fellow, or have come to your office and asked the question, or sat in your rehearsal, I want to say thank you, because all of those experiences and all of you, whether our contact was for 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 days, several weeks, several months, or years, you all have played a vital part in shaping and forming me and helping me to continue to become the musician, the leader that I want to become and that I want to be. When I think of primary influences, I trace it all the way back to my parents, again, for that belief, and connecting me with Miss Roundtree, who was the Russian musician at our church. It's an African-American church, and we had a Russian pianist, go figure, in Columbus, Georgia, and connecting with her, taking piano lessons early on. Parents who allowed me to take time off when I didn't want to do that, but then encouraged me when I went back in high school, and I would go for piano lessons at 6 a.m. in the morning, encouraged me to do that multiple days a week when I realized I wanted this music thing to be a larger part of my life. And to Miss Smith, who would open her doors at 6 a.m. for me to take piano lessons, thank you. All of my choir teachers, music teachers, Miss Johnson in elementary school, Miss Maggie Miller, who was also the boy choir accompanist for the Columbus Boy Choir, who, when I saw you going down the hall to the orchestra, because I was going to be in the orchestra, and saw Maggie, went into the choir room and never came out of a choir room. Pat Bonacker, who's my mom, my second mom, literally, my high school choir director, who believed in me and still believes in me more than any person in this world humanly possible, who called me Phenomenal Phillip, who gave me so much sense of worth and self-confidence and so many opportunities. Just so indebted to you, because again, without your encouragement, I wouldn't have even majored in music as a second major. I would have just gone a different path. From the University of Georgia, Dr. Greg Broughton, my voice teacher who encouraged and nurtured me there. The Stoffel family, who got me to the University of Georgia and who provided a sense of friendship and camaraderie. To Coach, Dr. Arant, who's gone on to glory. Our first conductor there, who directed the Glee Club for 30 years, who believed in me enough when he took ill to say, you need to, as the president and the musical leader, you need to take the reins of the group, and gave me the responsibility of directing the men's glee club as a junior at the University of Georgia. There was no reason that a junior, an undergraduate, should be directing a curricular ensemble. But he believed in me, and that was where I realized that leading people through music was my vocational calling. Alan Raines, Deanna Joseph, Ron Brindle, those folks at Georgia State University, here at the University of Minnesota, Kathy Romy, Matt Mahaffey. Let's see, there's so many people there at the University of Minnesota because it's so recent. Mark Russell Smith, the Wind Band program, Dr. Craig Kirchhoff, and then all the other teachers and my colleagues in the graduate cohort there, Catherine, Ryan, Amanda, Ahmed, Sam, Grace, Russell, and my good friend Andy Morgan over in Arkansas. All of those peers that I work with, again, those relationships, those conversations, that's helped to shape me to who I am. And so I'll close with a thank you to the future singers, the future folks that I'll work with, because my promise and my pledge is to continue to evolve, to continue to grow. I would be remiss if I didn't mention specifically the Vocalessence family of singers, the ensemble singers, the chorus, especially the singers of this age. Working with you each and every week is a privilege and an honor and a great sense of joy. And it helps me to aspire to push higher and to push you higher and farther and to learn and grow with you. It's just so much fun. So, I'm just very grateful to have this charmed life and just want it to continue as long as it can. So thank you for watching.